Today, the answer is going to be a little bit different, simply because this exact same question was also asked to me in an email by a friend about 6 years ago. And as I started answering her email, I couldn't stop writing. A whole short story came out. And because I liked the story, I kept it. And when I saw this question that somebody sent me, I remembered it, and I went back and found it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply read what I had channeled about 6 years ago for this exact same question. So the question was, I have to remind people, there are phrases in here that I personally didn't understand. So I'm sure some people will say, what does this mean? I don't understand it. To be honest, I don't either. Sometimes when we get channeled information, it's for later, or it is to decode something in us so that we can either raise our vibration or raise our level of consciousness. But we don't understand every word. And this short story has some of those phrases in there. So I'm going to read it. What is the purpose of being a human on Earth? The purpose of being a human on Earth is to express yourself in a reality that has been created for trying out new things that cannot be sustained in other realities. Earth is a laboratory for the physical universe. It is a place where you can play dangerous games without hurting anyone or anything outside the game. This is why you feel so separated from the rest of your galactic family sometimes. Earth has been isolated from the rest of the physical creation. She has been put in quarantine. The physical universe has not been pushed to the limits yet. There is a certain danger attached to playing physical games. If something does not go right, the consequences can spill out into other games being played in other realities. The purpose of all these games is to find out how many different ways you can express all that you are, and then see what new games can come out of that. You have been creating and playing these games for eternity. You have created worlds of immense beauty, worlds that have astounded even you, the creators. The magnificence of these worlds have lifted your souls to the extreme heights of wonder and awe. You have become the gods of creations so elaborate, so limitless, that you began to wonder about your abilities. Was there no end to them? As beautiful as it is expressing yourselves in a limitless universe, this in itself became limited. You began to yearn for limits. You thought limits might challenge you to find other parts of yourselves you never even knew existed. Because thought creates, this thought eventually manifested itself into a need that hit the very core of your souls. You began to feel like there is something missing, something you have yet to accomplish. For a while, you started to question the meaning of your existence. What was the point of creating without effort? What was the point of having no needs? You began coming together and asking these questions as a collective. This was the beginning of desire. You began having a desire for limits, a desire for difficulty, a desire for challenge. You wanted to create in slow motion. You wanted to feel the growing pains of your creations. But there was a problem. Because thought creates instantly, you needed to find a way to stop this from happening. So you put yourselves to sleep and began dreaming a new reality. It was a time of excitement, experiencing a reality only in a dream state, a time where you could dream up anything and it would play out in a way where you would absolutely believe it was real. It was a time where you could come up with thoughts that you would never even consider when in a conscious state. A time when you could pretend you were not God. Out of all the illusions you created, this was the one you needed to believe absolutely. Without this belief that you are not God, your experiment would not be successful. If you had even the slightest idea you were God, you would not be able to make yourselves believe this reality was real. In order to keep this illusion going, you needed to separate it from reality. This was when you invented the veil. This veil would separate your illusion from all the other realities you had created. This separation was absolutely necessary for the success of this game. A game where you could experiment with the extreme. A game where you could push physical creation to the limits of probability. It was these probable realities that made the game so interesting. Every single one of you is living in a separate probable reality. Every single one of you is creating your reality as you go along. Every single one of you is manifesting results that would be used to create new worlds after you wake up from this dream. This dream has become so successful in producing new ways of being that you began to want to experience this dream for real. You wanted to wake up and continue the dream in a conscious state. This was when you caught the attention of the rest of the universe. How could this illusion of so much pain be experienced for real? How could the illusion of separation from Source be experienced for real? This dilemma has sent you scrambling for answers. And because all real answers can only be found within, you have uncovered parts of yourselves you never thought were useful before. Parts of yourselves that you were just carrying around and looking down on them. Parts of yourselves you previously considered unevolved. Now you began to realize that evolution was not the name of the game. This realization sent shockwaves throughout the universe. Some galactic civilizations put their evolution on hold. If evolution was not the purpose of existence, then what was? All of a sudden, you became the center of the universe. Highly evolved beings began to monitor your every move. Most civilizations in the universe are obsessed with making it back to Source. They have created every single reality on a one-way street. They have reached heights of evolution that are envied even by other older universes. They have succeeded in giving Source experiences it could never have dreamt of. It is these very civilizations that are now racing towards you, racing to see what could be done that they themselves could not do, racing to enhance their knowledge of realities they saw no purpose in until now. What was it you did that turned their heads this way? What was it you did that they found so interesting? What was it you did that made them question the meaning of their entire existence? You began to express Source in a reality that had very little to do with divinity. A reality that accepted you for who you are not. This reality created an opportunity to ask yourselves a question. Is this who I really am? This question could not be asked in other realities because they already knew the answer. It was this question that opened the floodgates to questions that had never been asked before. If this is who I really am, is this who I would like to remain? Or would I like to change me? You decided to change you, but there is another dilemma here. When you change you change God. Trillions upon trillions of advanced civilizations, and not one had ever considered changing God. How could such a simple concept elude them? Change God? Change God? Oh my God, we can change God? How could the created change the creator? Your tiny little planet had suddenly become the talk of the town. Beings that had created galaxies with 1 billion suns found themselves short of answers, short of questions too. The only thing they could do now was to observe. The race began. It was a race to see how they can find ways to create this in their realities. They looked at you from every possible angle. They went to your past and your future. But this was not something that could be replicated. It had to be experienced. This was not merely an idea. This was a way of being. But how could one want to be like this? How can one not want to always be God? This concept will create a second Big Bang. A Big Bang in consciousness. It is this second Big Bang that will start phase 2 of your physical universe. Now the evidence was clear. The meek shall not just inherit the earth, they shall inherit the entire universe. The only thing about existence that has not been totally understood yet is the only thing that has the capacity to take you to the very core of your being, the very beginning of creation. You exist because of this one thing. The questions you ask as a human on earth will put you on this path to the very center of thought. You are on the road to discovering and experiencing your innermost truth. You are about to reach, for the first time in the history of this universe, the one thought that started it all. Many civilizations are aware of it, but never created the need to reach it. It is the one thought that created the creators. This one thought that allowed existence to simply exist. This one thought is still looking for its creator. When you decided to change God, this one thought got a bright idea. In order to change something, first you need to find it. Before all the creations started to form out of pure thought, there was another existence made up of just one thing. This existence came to be from the very need you are having now, the need to simply become more. This need created thought. It is this need that thought is looking for. This need to know its creator and simply understand why it is that it feels like it has a purpose. Why it is that it wants to implode into itself and feel the very core of itself. why it feels like this core is unknown to it. This core that is constantly sending it messages it cannot fully comprehend. This need to know its creator is what is behind every evolutionary step existence makes. Evolution itself is a consciousness. It is a path that was created for the way back home. A path that has the ability to bring you to a very different home from the one you left. The path of evolution has the ability to change home simply by becoming one with those using the path. This is the one reason Source finds evolution so appealing. This appeal is what has led creation to believe evolution is the reason of existence. Evolution is, and always will be, after a type of growth that enables it to suspend itself into the realms of consciousness it seeks to change. The interest evolution has in changing consciousness is for the ultimate need it has for the expansion of this universe. Evolution is not a product of this universe. It was created by a universe that had reached the limits of expression. A universe that had nowhere else to go. When this universe was asked about this brilliant creation, it replied, "For I have known how dreadful boredom can be, and I never want to know it again." This one invention sent the entire omniverse scattered in all directions. All of a sudden, there was only one thing absolute in existence: change. Everything has been moving along nicely since then. Evolution had given existence purpose until you came along and questioned that purpose. It was this simple question that will take existence beyond evolution. This simple question that you asked because of the lack of understanding you have about creation. It is this lack of understanding that has brought you to the brink of annihilation. But it was at this point when the memories started to resurface. The memories of, we have been here before, do we really want to do this again? This was when you began to question the purpose of evolution. Yes, evolution can take us back to a larger source from the one we left. So what? We will still be going back to the same source. This simple question has the power to take all of existence to a whole new level of expression. A level of expression where you can be God and not at the same time. A level of expression where you can turn the tables and recreate your creators. The knowledge of this possibility has left your creators breathless. You were created as a tool so that your creators could observe themselves through you. To know thyself are the words a human shouted back at her God when she was asked, "Why do you think I created you?" To know thyself is to know God. To know God is to become God. The only thing left after becoming God is the only thing God has not tried yet: not being God. It has been tried in the dream state you are living in now, but never in a conscious state. This dream state is all about what is not real. As you begin to realize your reality is not real, you begin to go into full consciousness. As you wake up from this deep sleep you put yourselves into, you will not want to go back to full consciousness. When you are fully conscious, you keep searching. It is this searching that has given you the soul growth, that has become the envy of this universe and the intense interest of other universes. This is why you will want to start phase 2 of the physical universe. A universe with no particular purpose. A universe where you can consciously express your desires without having any interest in the fact that you were once God. A fact that has served you well up to this point, but is now beginning to weigh you down. Yes, God is love, but now that you have mastered the opposite of love, you are ready to go beyond love.